Hello, Hathorians, and welcome to another episode of Leadership Forum. Today, we are joined by Hathor Labs CEO Jan Martins, and we'll have a casual discussion about recent developments on the network from use cases to tech. So, Jan, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you very much. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. The weather's getting a bit better for us, so feeling good, feeling great. And yeah, a lot of exciting things to talk about today. So, uh, really looking forward to hearing what you have to say. So Jan, I'm just going to get stuck in really, and we're going to start with business and use cases. And I'm going to just ask you, as for our new viewers, just to let them know how this goes. We just have a kind of Q&A type function where I ask you questions and you answer. So we'll dive in that way. So on to use cases. This first quarter, we have announced quite a few new use cases on the network. I want to ask you them in order. So we want to start with Cryptum. Tell us about Cryptum and how that came about.
Yeah, sure. It's a project done by a Brazilian team, so I mean, we got to know each other, and our Brazilians are everywhere, so it's easier for us to stick together. And they are basically making SDKs to make it easier for companies that want to adopt blockchain, well, not just companies, but developers that want to adopt blockchain and use it in their projects. So it's interesting because it's in the same direction that Hathor Network aims to do in terms of making it easier for people to adopt blockchain and having their SDK. It's a good complement to the solutions that we already have. So what we have with the wallets, where you can easily create NFTs or tokens, the wallet handlers as well for integration, and with their SDKs as well. It's just one more tool that any company or individual developer can use to to get up to speed and quickly deploy blockchain projects.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, having an SDK available is, I guess, something that is great to have in the as you say, weapons arsenal. Yeah, Cryptum. I actually noticed that they're sponsoring Ethereum Rio that's happening now. Actually, by the way, our head of BD Leandro is there, and there's a talk happening today on DeFi. So there should be some stuff on socials about that. So yeah, that's Cryptum. Another one that has come out recently is actually quite a big one, Jan, and it's Alvarez Marsal, one of the biggest consultancy firms in the world. What can you tell us about them?
Yeah, this one was very interesting because, well, first of all, they did a selection of blockchains that they consider using, and they ended up choosing Hathor, of course, because there's feeless transactions, but also because of the simplicity to implement any solution. So that was an interesting thing at the start. And then the whole integration process, the build process with them was very smooth, let's say it. So they approached us. We had some initial talks. They followed up with some questions that we exchanged through a document. They were just back and forth, maybe 2 or 3 rounds of questions, and that's it. And maybe they vanished for like 1 or 2 months. And I actually thought, oh, okay, it's gone cold, like it's not gonna happen. After that, after like 2 months or 3 months, they came back and they had this this platform ready to go. Was almost ready, like this MVP of platform. So it really surprises that very easily they could build this robust platform. Um, and it started as an NFT platform for a project for a client of theirs. I think it ended up not being launched, but they used the same code base and developed this white label tokenization platform. So, any company that wishes to launch a tokenization project can just approach Alvarez Marsal, as you said, one of the leading companies, consulting companies, and they already have this white label platform that you can customize, adapt to your needs, and launch this project, which greatly reduces the cost and also the time to market. So what's interesting about this is a lot of companies, they struggle to understand the value of blockchain and how this is actually going to impact their business and all of that. So with this white label platform, it's easier for them to show to the prospective clients, what it looks like, how it's going to look like in the end. It's very different than just throwing ideas and saying, okay, this is how it's work and this is how it's going to work. And if you can show something that's already made, it really helps people to understand the concepts behind blockchain tokenization.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I noticed at the beginning of this year with all of the reports that had come out, usually like wrapping up 2022, a lot of reports came out in Q1, and a lot of them were focused around tokenization. So, Alvarez Marsal being one of the biggest consultancy firms in the world, building a platform made by Hathor surrounding tokenization is really, really good to hear. Looking forward to seeing how that one develops.
Yeah, and definitely it's as you said, it's a big company. It adds a lot of trust in this process. It's not like you're dealing with an unknown company,
Yeah, for sure.
especially with blockchains being such a new technology that people are still trying to understand. So having a let's say household name, a very important name there, gives I'd say prospective clients a lot more comfort
Yeah.
when launching their projects.
Yeah, tying back to what you said about household names, I couldn't agree more. It's like almost you said the process was very simple. They came, a few round of discussions, they went away, probably did some due diligence, came back, and boom, a product's there. And then if you look at,
Yeah,
some of our other use cases like Token is Adora and, who they are powering their bonds for example, you've got Santander, we've got Itaú, and so on. So again, it just goes to show, it, sometimes there aren't timeline bottlenecks. Things can happen quick if things are made transparent and there's a good form of communication, but also that the foundation is very good, and it just goes to show Hathor has a great foundation.
yeah. As I said, I mean, I was for a couple of months. They said, "Well, okay, it didn't happen," because they were quiet, and after a while, they just returned and they had this product created, which was really amazing to see.
Amazing. It was amazing for me as well. I loved communicating it, but I had no idea. It just popped up in my diary out of nowhere. So, yeah, and all I'm
Yeah, as I
saying is
said,
present.
even for us was a bit of a surprise, right? Because it was not like they kept us in the loop while they were developing it. Even like for us, we're like, okay, this is done, and then we got to tell the rest of the team and communicate.
Amazing. Yeah, I guess with these big firms, once they're committed, they get to work, the resources they have. And you can imagine it's quite a big operation to put something like that together so quickly. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing how that goes and develops. And yeah, moving on to a really recent use case announced last weekend on BN Crypto Brazil. It's Guardiões da Mata. It's a refi project. I don't know too much about them, but I know you do. Uh, Let us know.
Yeah, this one is a tough one for people outside of Brazil, non-Portuguese speakers to pronounce, right?
Yeah.
It's Guardiões da Mata,
Okay.
like forest rangers or something like that. That's would be like the translation. They are a non-government entity that they want to preserve the Atlantic forest, which is a pretty big forest in Brazil. So yeah, they're gonna be launching. I think first phase, for instance, launching FTs.
Mhm.
That is, it's gonna, the resources are gonna, the funding is gonna go to planting, replanting trees, reforestation. Uh, and actually, I think people who buy NFTs get to name them, which is kind of interesting. I can say that it's very satisfying to see, blockchain technology, especially, with Hathor Network, in this case, being used, to support a good cause. And it's also what's also interesting about this project is it's blockchain is just a part of it. There is also other actions that are going to be developed, not even just outside of launching NFTs. Though, so there's going to be educational projects as well, and I think teaching Web3 and development is going to be part of it. But it's interesting, which it's a larger project, and blockchain is a part of it. Launching NFTs, reforestation, but there's also a social causes there about education and helping some people in the region where there's the forest and this is going to happen.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it's a really beneficial project. you do hear and see a lot in the editorials about refi, and I think it's a great industry to be in. And regardless, it's helping the environment. So yeah, I can't wait to see how that further develops. With, like you said, blockchain is just a small part of it. So let's see how it develops and how big it can get. And now to talk about the next section of this leadership forum, the technical side. And we're going to talk about a few things, breaking down this section, just like we did the last section. And let's get stuck straight into it. So, Jan, we want to talk about first, recently, I believe it was in Q1, we did announce new tech is coming to Hathor, something that we don't really usually do, but we did announce it in a Medium blog earlier this year. And it's surrounding the Hathor wallet. How's the Hathor wallet going, and do you have anything new to share with us?
Yeah, sure. I mean, the wallets, we've had them since the launch, both the desktop wallets and mobile wallets, and we are constantly improving them. A lot of things go unnoticed. Let's say that people don't see it, but they do happen. Some optimizations and all of that. But there were a couple of features that did go live for the wallet. So I think we're finalizing testing. Already expanded the testing for a larger audience with the wallet service, which is a service that's gonna help improve the speed of wallets of loading, especially if you have like a large wallet with a lot of transactions. It really is gonna help you do it. It also helps us get more, let's say, some information, some statistics uh, quickly, about addresses and all of that. So it's a very interesting service that we launched, and I believe it's being tested with a larger population. We started with just internal testing, then we expanded to more users. I think our community managers, and obviously this is going to be launched to all of the community, to all public wallets. One other thing that I think we finalized testing, and it's probably going to roll out to the web stores, to the app stores, is the notifications on the mobile wallet. So, whenever receiving a transaction, we're going to get a notification. So that's also a very interesting update to see. And I think the one that you mentioned that we announced was about the web wallet. So we understand this is something that a lot of users want, that is important for DApps. It's really makes it easier, the UX components of interacting with the apps. So we decided to create our own solution. So the first step was to study all the alternatives. This is a very standard process for our engineering development. We start by analyzing all the options. We do what we create what we call a design, which is like a high level design, so everyone can debate and get feedback on this proposal. So we studied the different technologies that we could use to create this web wallet. So we studied Wallet Connect, MetaMask, which nowadays is still under testing on their side, but they have some extensions, so non-EVM chains can use MetaMask, and also developing our own web wallet. And this is all public. It's not actually something, new information that I'm saying. It's all on my GitHub. We usually do all development and everything through there, so anyone in the community can actually go there and check everything as we discuss them. You're going to see all of our engineers debating there the ideas. It's a very interesting process to see. So we studied these three designs, and everything there is on GitHub, but we didn't have had a like a POC, a proof of concept for a MetaMask wallet running integrated with Hathor Network, which was interesting to see. And now we made a decision, moving on with Wallet Connect, and we're gonna start coding on Q2 for this web wallet. And yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting. We already had this, let's say, POC with Wallet Connect. You can also see on that GitHub design that I mentioned. But now we're gonna make it production ready, robust. So it's gonna be interesting. And again, everything's going to happen in public. It's going to be on GitHub. So we welcome the feedback from all the builders out there in Hathor while we're doing this process, to gather feedback and to make sure that the features that we're adding there, the way that we're building it, it's gonna fit into everything that they need, because in the end, that's the goal of it. So yeah, that's why we do it in public.
That's amazing to hear. You know, when you mention about like everything being transparent and being on GitHub, and it's all there, but a lot of people don't realize, even myself, some of the things you've just told me now is like, yo, this is an exclusive. I'm hearing some of this for the first time. So devs, if you're listening, go over to GitHub and have a little scan through and see what's happening. The updates you mentioned for Q2 sound really, really good. I'm really excited for them. And yeah, things like notifications on the wallet are super, super important. So yeah, I think it will be exciting times. I can't wait to see when it's ready. And moving on from Hathor Wallet over to a recent actual initiative that went live again this month, actually, and that's the bug
Hmm.
bounty with ImmuneFi. So we know ImmuneFi is, one of the actually leaders for bug bounty, one of the leading bug bounty platforms. They're reputable. They've done it for a lot of big projects. Um, can you let the community know what a bug bounty is, why we actually did one, and any findings we've got from this new bug bounty we announced earlier this month?
Yeah, sure. A bug bounty project program is a way for what we call, white hat hackers to disclose vulnerabilities that they find. So, you have the malicious hackers, the ones that actually exploit vulnerabilities, but you also have like the white hat hackers, like the good guys, let's say, that they go through the projects and they try to find vulnerabilities, and instead of exploiting them, they disclose, they report this vulnerability, these bugs, to the people who are responsible for the code, and in reward they get a bounty, they get some payment for it. So. Uh, we actually, since we launched like the project, you can see on our website now, it's updated and it links to Immunify. But since the beginning, we had there, bug bounty. If you find it, just send us a message. But we did decide to do, let's say, a larger bug bounty program project. As you said, Immunify, it's a leading platform for bounties. They are focused on Web3, so they already have a lot of white hat hackers on their database, on their platform. They're going to be looking through the code. So I think that's one of the main reasons, right? Because we are now exposed to this larger community of like highly qualified white hat hackers that they have available. So if you go on their website, I think they right on the front page, the homepage, they have the amount of the bounties that have been paid. It's an enormous amount. So yeah, the reason for that is, I mean, software, any software is bound to have bugs. It's part of, developing software. So, I mean, for us, it's important that we reach out to this, white hat hackers community, so they can disclose responsibly the bugs to us if they find any, so we can fix before anyone can exploit it. And obviously, with a blockchain, with things being immutable, it's um, it's more important than ever, right? Because that's what we see, people getting hacked, and there is no way to reverse those transactions. Um, so yeah, that's why we decided to go with a larger platform, because we get access to their network of hackers who are specifically, in the case of Immunify, specialized in Web3 projects. In terms of finding, fortunately, so far we didn't have any bugs found, no bounties paid. I'm torn between, like, being able to pay a bounty, because it's nice to have, to know that there are people out there, looking and disclosing it responsibly. At the same time, like, no, there are no bugs. So I'm kind of torn between those two attitudes. But I mean, so far we launched, I think it's what, 2 or 3 weeks. I'm not
Yeah,
sure now.
yeah,
And so far, no bounties paid. But like, yeah, we have an open channel. And also, a good thing about having Unify run this program is that they also, intermediate, and they have a lot of experience handling these kinds of situations
yeah.
if we need their support. So it's a good thing to have this one of the big names out there supporting us in this endeavor, which is a very important thing.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's a really good move, as you said. Widening the network of white hat hackers in order to, as you said, we're a blockchain. It needs to be thoroughly tested, and we want to reinforce our confidence that we have a secure tech. We believe in our tech, and opening the floodgates to these white hat hackers to, with a bounty of, I think it's up to $100,000. Some of the projects, by the way, if you're a project listening, it doesn't have to be $100,000. Some projects do 20,000, 15,000. It is quite flexible. But putting 100,000 down in bounties available for anyone to find vulnerabilities just is a great way to show, hey, you know, come have a look, test everything, because we care about our network. We want it to be strong and secure. And it's great to hear that over the last 2 to 3 weeks, there still hasn't been any vulnerabilities found. And yeah, as you mentioned, we have open dialogue with them, and we'll
Yeah.
catch up with them quite often.
But yeah, you mentioned about the quality of the code and all of that, and this is something that we take pride on because our code is it's. I mean, obviously, there's always chance there are bugs and things like that. But what I mean is the level of quality that we ensure, and the level of review that the code goes through before going live. It's very very thorough. I'm a computer engineer by formation, and I've worked in other software development companies before, even in Silicon Valley. And the way that before any release that we do here, the code assurance that we have, the code quality, it's really I think it's even better. At least the company that I used to work on. Uh, I myself learned a lot while before becoming CEO. While I was still a developer at the company, I did learn a lot just with the code reviews because literally we have at least two people, two other engineers going over the code that you made and adding comments, and it really helps catch a lot of possible problems, improve your code. And again, to come back to the point that we made in the last section, it's all very public. Again, it all happens on GitHub, so you can actually see all our engineers working, and reviewing each other's codes and making suggestions and pointing out possible projects, or just making it more performatic. So I mean, also for the developers out there, if they wanna get to take a look, it's a very interesting project process.
And moving on to two of the last questions, and actually, this question is quite a new one. We haven't really openly talked about this part of the technology. It is mentioned in our white paper, and that's SIDAGs. I know the team are working on it. It's something that's in our, you could say, internal roadmap, and probably very transparent already, like you said, on GitHub for people who want to kind of find out what the team has been working on. Is there anything you could tell the community about SIDAGs?
Yeah, it's SideEggs, our version of what some people call as a sidechain. Even though we don't consider like a layer two solution or anything like that, the reasoning behind it is when we're talking to a lot of companies, they don't want to they don't want to use a public blockchain. Most of the times for privacy reasons, they don't want to use a public blockchain and they want to go with private solutions. We don't believe that a completely like 100% private, permission blockchain is the best solution because you lose the immutability aspects, which makes the blockchain unique. So, and that's why we came up with this concept of what we call like a side DAG, which is, let's say, a DAG of transactions for the company, which is basically permission, private, but it has some links with the public blockchain. So let's say it's kind of like milestones that there are, thumbstones that are left on the private, blockchain that link them with the public blockchain. In a sense, it brings all the confirmation work, the work, since we're proof of work chain, it brings all the proof of work from the main chain to the private chain to make it immutable. So there are, let's say, what we call special transactions, that take place in both chains, the public and the private, to link them. there's no leakage of information. So in terms of privacy, all the information on the sidechain continues. So the side DAG continues private. It's not leaked for this transaction. This transaction is just for bringing this confirmation and adding immutability to the side DAG. So again, uh, this comes from the feedback that we get from a lot of companies that they are using. They want to use permission networks, and so we started for Q1. We did a proof of concept for for a side DAG, what we call it. There are a lot of adjustments that it needs to make. Obviously, only allow users, participants can be a part of the network. Um, it doesn't make sense in most cases to use proof of work. So, I mean, a lot of the private chains, they use proof of authority. So, yeah, the first step for us was, developing this side DAG where you have proof of authority, only authorized participants. And yeah, we're going to continue talking to companies and understanding the features and requirements that they have to launch, let's say, this new product. Because I mean, obviously, we have a lot of ideas, but ideally, we would like to get this, this product driven process from, from feedback from companies that want to adopt this solution. So, before launching anything in that sense, we're gonna get more feedback and yeah, work with other companies. They want to launch their private chains. So we have this well developed and well tested new feature that any other company later is going to be able to run and launch their own private chain. Permission. We call it a hybrid network because it's not 100% private. You have this link, but at the same time, it's not public as Hathor Network is.
Sure. Yeah, hybrid is a good name for it, actually. And I guess, just summarizing what you said, this is a need from companies, businesses, people who want to adopt blockchain technology in their way, and as you said, a private way. And having the technology ready, having it robust, ready, and in a way that can, benefit use cases will only bring more in. So I can see why the need is there because a company may not know what to do with blockchain or have their ideas, but a technology like this being available just means like you can show alternatives to what we do have as tools that can help facilitate a company's entrance into blockchain or adding blockchain technology to their existing processes and so on. So yeah,
Yeah,
good stuff.
as you said, I mean, it really can help and onboard these companies because a lot of them are not like ready to go, 100% public blockchains. I mean, personally, I'm a big fan, obviously, of public blockchains. I wish every project was built on on top of it. But I understand that some companies aren't ready, and it can be the first stepping stone, and then maybe later they can transition to a public blockchain.
For sure. As you said, stepping stone is a good word for it. It's better to kind of introduce them in I guess, a safe and comfortable way for them to realize later on or make changes later on. So yeah, awesome. And yeah, our final question is probably a burning question on everyone's lips in the community. I've been here for a while, and I've seen how the project has grown, so much new tech. But one thing that is on everyone's lips is nanos and any sort of nano contract update. Um, I know what we have out there at the moment recently, just to give the community some insight. We have started talking about nano contract projects that will be testing nano contracts on testnet. We've introduced an introductory article about nano contracts. If you want to learn more about the projects, you can go to our YouTube and see the projects we've been interviewing. And also, if you want to learn more about the introduction of nano contracts, go to Hathor's blog, which can be found on our social network pages. I'll put a link to this in the description of this video, and actually read about nano contracts if you don't know what nano contracts are. But yeah, Jan, give us an update on what's happening. I guess we've started interviewing projects about nano contract testing, kind of getting the community aware about what type of projects we'll be testing. And let's tell them what more can we tell them about the blueprints that they will be testing and when the testnet is likely to go live when we will announce it, really. How far are these things?
Yeah, sure. I mean, as you said, we have a few select close partners. They're helping us initially with definitions and requirements. As I said before, in order for us to develop anything, obviously we have a lot of ideas, but it's better to get these requirements from people or companies who actually are going to use it. Otherwise, we might release something that no one uses, right? And that's the last thing that we want. So, I mean, yeah, the first step is, working closely with these projects to understand the requirements, and then we can get to the building phase. So, in terms of blueprints, we started with a batting blueprint and liquidity pool blueprint. So, batting, for instance, you would be able to, just make a bet on the result of a game, and then later on you're gonna have an oracle come and place the result, and then the winners are gonna be able to withdraw their money, losers no, and that's the, let's say, the high level idea. But obviously, betting we can use for any other types of derivatives, stocks and stuff like that. So it has a lot of different use cases possible there. And the other one, liquidity pools, I think it's most people already used to it. So it's going to be pretty easy for anyone to just spin up their own liquidity pool. So, for instance, I think I was talking to the guys in engineering, and there are like a couple of parameters that we need to, it's going to be needed when starting the pool. So you just get a blueprint, tokens, which are going to be involved, like a pair of tokens, obviously, liquidity provider fees, and the initial price, which is like the initial proportion of the pool, which has the pricing between the assets. So basically, that's I think only these three informations, maybe one more that I'm not remember right now, and then you can just start your own pool with the liquidity pool blueprint. You just make an instance of it, and you have your Nano contract running. So yeah, it's going to be easy. It's the same experience that we developed for NFTs, for tokenization in general. So those are the first blueprints we are developing. We're going to be our this partners that I mentioned are going to be testing. We are also have other ideas for the next ones that we're going to develop. So probably staking and where the other one? I forgot the other one that we're probably gonna develop. But again, it's all based on feedback that we're getting from these partners, and obviously the community as a whole in general is more than welcome to also give feedback and suggestions. But the first step is going to be the like a private network, a private test nets with these partners that they can use to try it out and to find, let's say, the most obvious bugs in the beginning, which likely they're gonna have some. But at the same time, we're developing what we call like also an SDK. We talked in the beginning about the Cryptum SDK. We're also going to develop an SDK for Nano contract, so it's easy for anyone to test it, even outside of running a network. What was interesting about nano contracts, because I think it was earlier this month, I was discussing with Marcelo, and obviously being a programmer, I do miss sometimes coding, and he was saying, yeah, you should help me code a nano contract. I don't remember if it was like the padding or the liquidity pool. And I said, like, obviously I cannot do it. Like I haven't been coding for the last few years, so I don't know how to code anymore. And like, no, it's very easy, And then he shared his screen showing like the code on like the blueprint. Again, I don't remember which one it was, but like it was just Python code, Python, which is a very user-friendly language. So yeah, even for myself, even for me, I haven't been coding for a long time. I was able to understand a bit of it, so it was super interesting to see like a nano contract blueprint in Python.
Yeah, that's awesome. The fact that you said, it's been a while since you touched it, and you didn't expect the ease of use, and Marcelo just sharing his screen, and there, look, it's there, and you're like, wow, take it back. And Python, as we know, like Python is one of the most accessible languages out there, right? Programming languages. If you do any sort of survey on programming languages in the world, you'll probably find that Python is one of the top and probably one of the easiest to learn how to code. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
And yeah, with
it was one of the reasons that we chose. I mean, the code base for Hathor core, the full node is done on
yeah,
Python. I mean, the reason obviously, the founders, we had a lot of experience with Python already, and also there's a big community, a lot of tools around it. So yeah, it was one of the reasons for choosing Python, and again, porting this, let's say, into Nano contracts, not having to develop a new language for it. I think is going to be a big advantage.
yeah, just to touch on what you were saying, Jan, we see in the industry, Rust developers, Solidity developers, they're quite scarce. There's not many around, or there are very few. And imagine onboarding developers into a network which you can code the nano contracts in Python. Pretty much everything, like you said, down to the core was with the Python in mind. Just goes to show that this is not for the few, it's for the many. We want developers to come. We want developers to come and build on us. And as you said, for someone who developed quite a few years ago, to see the nano contract working was quite surprised on how, easy it was for not being fresh with code in your mind. So that's awesome. Yeah, tying back to some of the projects we've interviewed already as well. I think mainly it was staking, as you mentioned, swap functionality, and with the betting and the liquidity pools being in the main one, I think we'll get some really good testing ground done in that phase, and which is coming fairly soon. I know in the next couple of episodes we'll be interviewing the guys over at Kelb, who've already started developing their own small mini swap functional decks, I believe, and also Arc. And Arc, big fan of Arc. They've created their playtime game, and it looks amazing. So we'll be interviewing them on the next episode of Nano Insights, which will be coming in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, thanks for the nano contracts update, Jan, and in general, thanks for wrapping up everything on use cases and all the tech stuff. We spoke about Hathor Wallet, what's coming in Q2, the bug bounty that's ongoing, an introduction into DAGs, and also about the use cases Cryptum, Alvarez Marsal, and Guardiões da Mata. But I'll get there.
Guardiões.
Guardiões. But yeah, thanks for wrapping that up today. And that was Leadership Forum, guys. So we'll be doing another episode soon, probably with another member of the team, most likely going to be Marcelo on the next one. But yeah, thanks for stopping by, Jan. And we'll let the community keep them updated with, as you know, articles and posts in the interim. And see you on the next episode, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much, Neil. It
Yes.
was my pleasure, and I was glad that I was able to bring some, let's say, new information, as you
Oh,
said, which is public, but like it's yeah. I
it's
hope
crazy.
to be able to do that more.
I mean, some of this information you told, no word of a lie, is news to me. Like, I feel like I'm gonna probably message you after this call saying I did not know that. But yeah, another thing to touch on, earlier this year, we there was a social post that went out saying Hathor Network had the most GitHub commits. Guys, there's a reason for that. Check out the I think it's called the GitHub repository. See what's going on, and yeah, any questions, feel free to reach out to us on Telegram and Discord. But yeah, thanks again, Jan, and we'll see you soon.